In 2010, the Los Angeles Police Department arrested the notorious Grim Sleeper, real name Lonnie Franklin Jr. But did Lonnie have another victim a month before his arrest? Hello, this is Trueable Crime. Let's get into it. In July of 2010, the Los Angeles Police Department made one of their biggest arrests. Just one of Los Angeles boogeyman, Lonnie Franklin Jr. His arrest was due to a DNA hit from his son from a weapons charge. While the DNA wasn't an exact match, detectives knew that the killer was closely related, which led them to survey his father, Lonnie. In attempts to get his DNA, they were successful due to an unfinished pizza slice at a party Lonnie was attending. He was charged with 10 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and a special circumstance allegation of multiple murders. Even though he is suspected of many more due to over 1,000 photos being found at his residence of women in explicit poses and/or unconscious or deceased. The victim we will be talking about is Los Angeles resident 19-year-old Edwinta Hereford. In the decade of MySpace, AIM, and high-exposure filter photos, she graduated high school in 2008 and then went on to college at San Bernardino Valley. With aspirations in being a lawyer, she fell pregnant with an alleged man named Jerome, 1 year her senior. She found out she was having a little girl and her name was Kamaya Faith Morgan, but she ended up losing her child August 28, 2009. It's unknown Edwinta's mindset after her miscarriage. She ended up dropping out of San Bernardino Valley College and was involved in modeling and attempting to build her portfolio, going to casting calls, with her family support, but nothing came out of this venture for Edwinta. Life went downhill for Edwinta when in January 4th, 2010, she was arrested in Riverside, California for a burglary. It's unknown what came out of this arrest. Edwinta at the time was living with her boyfriend, allegedly named Ryan, in Gardena, California. It was discovered by detectives after clearing Edwinta's boyfriend as being a suspect that they were broken up. Edwinta had moved out of the home, which found her in the area of South Central Los Angeles. She was employed and trying to figure out things on her own. It's unclear what the relationship was like with Edwinta and her mother, Monette. Prior to her death, they spoke May 9, 2010 on Mother's Day, and that was unfortunately the last time that Monette would hear from her daughter. On May 15, 2010 at 11 a.m., Edwinta was seen at Snappy's liquor store on Imperial and Normandy in Los Angeles. They said she appeared to be alone and was wearing a pair of blue skinny jeans or a black tight and a white top with red flower print. She tried to purchase some feminine products with her EBT card. Her payment wasn't accepted. The store clerk reported that she left empty-handed. Later that evening, she was discovered at Tam's Burger Stand on Figueroa and Manchester, meeting with a man that has not been publicly named. It was determined that they met up at the Tam's Burger Stand and went to an undisclosed location, and then dropped Edwinta back off at the same Tam's Burger Stand. Detectives believe that she met another person that night.
It's dispatch. How are you? Good. Good. We are out eastbound 105 east of Garfield. Looks like we've got a female juvenile, anywhere from 14 to 18 years of age, and she's been pronounced dead. She was found face down on the right shoulder. It's probably more than definitely a crime scene.
Okay.
It looks like the body was dumped there.
You said it's 105 in Garfield?
Correct.
Sunday morning, approximately 5:40 a.m. on the shoulder of eastbound 105 freeway at the Garfield Avenue exit in Paramount, a driver discovered a new body on the shoulder of the freeway. At first glance, the driver thought it was a small child because of how small her feet were.
Here at 6, it was a disturbing discovery, and all detectives have to go on right now are a tattoo and some body piercings. The discovery was made by a driver along the 105 freeway between Paramount Boulevard and Garfield Avenue. CBS 2's Soraya Fidel live now on scene with the search for the woman's identity. Soraya?
And Juan, we are overlooking what was once the crime scene. It cleared just about a couple hours ago here along the 710 and 105 freeways. In this area, motorists were able to drive by and see the body. It was bumper to bumper for hours. All of the lanes are now moving. But this evening, authorities are turning to the public to help identify this woman.
She was a Jane Doe briefly, but thanks to fingerprint records and her daughter's name tattooed on her back, Edwinta Hereford was identified. It was determined after Edwinta Hereford autopsy that she died an hour before she was discovered on the shoulder of the highway. Evidence claimed that she was murdered and then thrown out of the moving vehicle. Hereford suffered massive blunt force trauma, but had no signs of a stab wound or a gunshot wound. Her official autopsy remains unavailable to the public. So what happened to Edwinta Hereford? One theory that remains popular is that Edwinta was a victim of the grim sleeper Lonnie Franklin. She was seen in the area that Lonnie frequented. His MO was targeting vulnerable women, often African Americans who were involved in prostitution or had a history of sex work. He also targeted women that were homeless or had a history of substance abuse. His MO he would approach his victims, often in the disguise of a pimp or a John, and then murder them. He would typically use a .25 caliber gun to shoot his victims in the head or chest. Franklin would often leave his victims' bodies in abandoned buildings, alleys, or other secluded areas. The bodies were frequently found with little to no signs of struggle or evidence of forced entry. What we know about Edwinta Hereford in the comparisons of the Grim Sleeper's MO. Edwinta was considered homeless, and the cause of her death was listed as blunt force trauma, and lastly, she was last seen in an area of the Grim Sleeper's hunting and disposal grounds. Lonnie Franklin's last proven murder was January 1st, 2007, 25-year-old Janice Peters. She was shot in the back and her body was dumped in a trash bag and was found in Gardena, California.
Murder, a dead body. Address is 1346 East 56th Street in the alley. The guy that dropped her off was driving a white and blue Dodge van 1TZ.
What's your name?
Oh, I don't say anonymous. I know too many people. Okay then, bye-bye.
Detectives of the Los Angeles Police Department acknowledged the theory and took into consideration, but nothing has yet come out with this theory. My opinion is that this theory could be likely, but considering that in 2008 the Los Angeles Police Department finally recognized that it was a serial killer amongst them, with a surviving witness as well as America's Most Wanted airing the story. I highly doubt this theory considering he was also arrested July 7, 2010. He had been under suspicion and surveillance.
Social butterfly all through school. She always received Peacemaker Awards in school. She was in the debate team. She always wanted to help people. She always defended people, and she's a little fighter, feisty, but it was always to help the underdog. She wanted to be a lawyer. She actually wanted to be a defense attorney. Then she kind of wavered back and forth, but she knew she wanted to go into law. She had a big heart, always smiled. She loved her siblings. They were very close growing up. Her and her siblings were like glue. We all went to the same church. She helped in the church. She was a servant. She loved children. She always changed clothes. She would change clothes 2 and 3 times a day, if not more. She wanted to model. When America's Next Top Model came out, she wasn't quite old enough yet. She was 17. I was like, when do you have to wait till after you're 18? But she wanted to model, and she wanted to make her mark. She wanted to travel and do things. When she turned 18, we found out that they were having auditions in Bakersfield. So we rushed the family to get our photos together, and we drove to Bakersfield right after work. And she did her audition, and she wasn't selected, and nothing really ever happened because of the way they were brought up. My children were brought up in the church. I didn't have to worry about them, being around people in church. They trusted them. We would have special events, and they would be doing their things. They would hang out with the youth, and had their friends, and I didn't have to worry about them. It's like you trust. She thought that no one would hurt her.